My grandfather and great-grandfather started Junction Auto in 1931.
If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to pay less, that's my business.
As I started progressing, I got better, and I just, I kind of got to a point where high 180s, low 190s was just my average, and it has been for like the past 4 years.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I was a phenomenal bowler, but when I was in a groove, I was in a groove.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what happened that night. But I didn't change anything. I didn't, I drink when I bowl, just like most people that feel the need that's
sure.
what, just two goes hand in hand. So, I had a couple cocktails and stuff, and as I'm watching, I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, okay, sipping on okay, we're fine, I remember my boyfriend coming up to me about the 7th frame, and he goes, I can't buy a straight to save my life. And I'm looking up there, and I'm like, well, you want one of mine? Not like I should have, but it was just, and then we're talking and stuff, and he's like trying, and I'm like, is it not now? The menial stuff right now, I just need to zone out, and that's kind of what I did the whole night. I mean, that game, I just zoned out, and hitting about the 10th frame, and I rolled the first ball, and I'm like, okay, I've been here before. The year before, I had a 278 and a 279 within a week. So I was like, okay, I've been here before, no big deal. Get up, my knees start shaking, my heart starts beating, and I'm like, okay, But I get up, so I throw the 11th ball, and they all crash, and I'm like, oh crap. And my girlfriend, after I threw the first ball in the 10th frame, she actually had gotten up to follow me, and I said, do you really want to finish this for me? She goes, oh, no. No, you go right ahead,
Yeah.
So I threw the 11th, and I'm like, oh, crap, this is so close to being real, and it wasn't necessarily a goal of mine,
Right.
I mean, everybody sets goals for themselves. Shooting at 300 was just kind of like, yeah, right, whatever, That 10th ball, or the 11th, 12th ball came out of my hands and just rolled down the same mark all night long, and I'm just like, I watched them split, and I'm like, oh my god, and I flipped over, like, it was just...
Did you know when you let go of that last ball?
I kind of had a feeling that I was just like, I'm like, this is gonna happen, I mean, they'd been falling for me all night. It's not like I was leaving ringing 10 pins or anything, which a lot of times is what happens,
Right.
It just went out, and I was just like, oh my god, and I freaked out, and I'm like, just,
Yeah.
And then of course I'm being swarmed, and I'm just like, oh god, I'm like, and then I'm like, I really have to go to the bathroom.
Did the Lanes know? Was there a sense at any point, that
you know what? I knew there were people that knew, because certain people were watching me. My boyfriend knew. He was several lanes down, but he knew. My mom and sister were actually bowling just to my left, so they'd been kind of watching it all along. Carol was standing right behind the desk, and she was watching it all night long. So there was, in the immediate area, people knew, and I knew towards the end that there were people watching me that hadn't been there all night, and I was just like, you guys can go sit down now, But there were actually a couple of teams that really didn't pay any attention to what was going on.
Yeah.
So they were still bowling. So it wasn't, and like I said, I just kind of zoned out.
Yeah.
And just went right back into my own little world and just said, all right, I said, just follow through, you're doing a good job, just go with it and let it happen.
Was that your last game of the night?
Thank goodness, because I don't think I could have thrown another ball if I tried.
Now, did someone tell you, or when did you realize that you were the first woman, or did you know that?
Well, I had kind of heard that, like in passing and stuff, but Joe was actually bowling next to me, and Carol's just like, she goes, oh my god, you did it, you did it. Well, last year, I rolled a 279 down here, and she goes, I thought you were going to be the one, and I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, you were throwing such a nice ball, and no woman's thrown a 300 here before. And I said, oh, okay,
Yeah.
And that was, like I said, that was last year, and I didn't think anything of it, So when I did it, it wasn't, to me at the time, it wasn't really a big thing. It was because, you know, it was kind of, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
But afterwards, she just like, no, you're the first woman. And I'm just like, okay. You know, I was just, I guess reality just never really set in, like it was a big deal.
They put your name out there yet?
Yeah, my name is out there. They put my name up there. They actually, there's a board up here, and it has my series, which actually only be a 680 considering, but, and then on it says first woman to throw a 300, so.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
You can stop.